Okay, so we will get started now. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So welcome all to the first session of Essence of Bhagavad Gita, Day 1. So very happy to see all of you joined for this session. You're all very fortunate. So what we are going to do now is I'm going to run through the most important essence in the first days today for next 40 minutes. And if you have any questions, just park your questions and note it down. And based on the content and the subject, whatever questions you have, we will take up the questions at the end of the session. So first assimilate the knowledge, assimilate what is being told in the session. And after that, we will definitely take up this question answer session. Is that okay? Yeah, that's how we typically do it. So we will get started with the session. So if you have any questions, you can post on the chat. Yes, it is getting recorded on YouTube and it is available. So I will, once it is done, I will share the link and you may see it at your leisure time and you can forward it also. So this is one of the batches that we regularly do in terms of the session and then take it. Okay, so this is the first session. So what we are going to do is for next 4 days, the entire subject of Bhagavad Gita, we are going to take and then run through the important subjects, important topics in terms of, you might know from an Indian parlance perspective, you might have already heard, understood some of the, the basic yoga in terms of people call it as karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga and all. So what we will be doing it is same essence, but in terms of what is really very, very important for everybody to understand, and then for you to just take the essence and take it forward in terms of more detailed understanding. So that's the plan. So that's how we will typically do from the understanding perspective. Okay. So Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhagavad Gita's Essence of Bhagavad Gita's Day 1. And this will be a pure English session, and we have participants across different locations in different countries. As I mentioned, the Bhagavad Gita, whenever we say, typically from our scriptures perspective, from our itihasas, from our Vedic literature, we have a lot of literatures from our Bharata Varsha, from our various rishis, munis, jnanis. For example, when we say Vedas, we have this Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Adharvana Veda, like that, and we have 108 Upanishads, and we have two important itihasas called the Mahabharata and Ramayana, and we have the most important 18 Puranas like Srimad Bhagavatam, Padma Puran, Vishnu Puran, everything. So what exactly is Bhagavad Gita? And we should understand, like, there are Upavedas, there are so many other things, but the essence of all the Vedic literature, the essence of the entire crux of Vedic literature is in Bhagavad Gita. So that is what you should understand. The essence of reading through all the Vedic scriptures, everything will be in Bhagavad Gita. So that is what everybody should understand. So why are we reading Bhagavad Gita? It is because it will help, it will understand, it will assimilate, it will guide you in terms of how to lead your life. What is the essence that you can understand from reading through all the scriptures, which may not be possible for you in your lifetime. So that is what the crux of about learning this Bhagavad Gita. Today we might say, oh, Ramayana, today we might say Mahabharata. It's all from a story perspective. But again, one is learning the essence of our life through the stories. But Krishna, through this Bhagavad Gita, is bringing in terms of the way that we need to understand. So that is what is the most important thing, that when somebody reads Bhagavad Gita, how to read Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita itself. Somebody will say, oh, Bhagavad Gita, it is very tough. Somebody should read only at the Now after retirement, somebody cannot understand the sloka. Somebody will say, oh, the literature is too heavy, I'm not able to understand, I don't know Hindi, I don't know Sanskrit, I don't know this language. No, Bhagavad Gita is very, very easy, at the same time very, very easy to understand. At the same time, it is universal. It is not only specific to India, it is not only specific to Hindi, it is not specific to Sanskrit. No, it is a universal manual, it is a universal subject which has been there for many, many millions of years. It is not that, oh, can just 5,000 years ago, just no. It has been there and it will be there, and there is no change in it. Like, no, it is not a typical way where we say this has been, no. The entire Bhagavad Gita is all about 700 slokas spoken in Mahabharatam, within the Mahabharata war, during the 18 days Mahabharata war, just conversation between Shri Krishna and Arjuna. Till today we are able to get the essence is because the subject matter is so vast. The subject matter gives us the understanding, the subject matter gives us the benefit. So that is why we have to understand, instead of going through a big round of reading, understanding Samaveda, so many literatures, it is very easy when you just take up this 700 slokas of Bhagavad Gita and read through it. So that is our aim, and for this next 4 days we will try to bring out the essence so that it will help you, it will give you the taste, and then you will be also able to relish what is exactly that. So that is what is the basic understanding and the need for it. So some may ask, I'm not able to understand this. Should I go via Mahabharata? Is it all about just reading through the Bhagavad Gita? Yes, initially it might look very tough, but what Krishna himself is saying is, when you go if you have the faith on the teacher, when you have the faith on the person who is going to teach it, then that will help you to understand the subject very easily. For example, you go and join a particular class in 7th standard or 8th standard. What is that you expect? To learn mathematics, to learn some language. But first and foremost thing that what is established is the faith on the teacher, right? So Bhagavad Gita also implies that most important factor, that you should develop, you should put the complete faith on the teacher. So here Arjuna is also in that particular situation where he had some kind of clarifications, he had a lot of lamentation, he had a lot of doubts. But when we had the complete faith on Krishna, then the real knowledge is revealed. So that is also very important. When you go and sit and understand Bhagavad Gita, it is first and foremost important thing is to what extent you have developed the faith. Yes, initially the faith might be very less, the faith might be like, no, yes, no, maybe kind of thing. But as and when you progress in terms of learning Bhagavad Gita, you get a substantial knowledge, at the same time substantial understanding about who is the Supreme Lord and what is the position of Arjuna. For example, when you go to a class now, it's all virtual classes now going on. When your teacher is saying for a 2nd standard student, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, the student suddenly gets up and say, no, teacher, I don't believe you. 2 plus 2 cannot be 4. Then what does the teacher will say? Okay, sit down. You will learn it when you understand it. That's all. So the teacher will not say no, and try to argue, because when you start arguing with the teacher, you will never get the knowledge of 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and you may not be able to proceed to the next class. When you accept the teacher saying 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, then you get the knowledge of mathematics and you proceed further. So that is how it has to be understood. That is how it has to be assimilated. So as and when Krishna says these things, for example, he will say, oh, you have to do your duty. This is karma. This is jnana. All I'm saying, everything is coming from me. Everything is creation by me. Everything is annihilation by me. All that is prevailing is by my strength, my power. So for example, Krishna is saying that when you start questioning that, you will not get the knowledge. You will be like, no, still going around and around, and that keep on going on. But if you have the belief on the teacher, then you will get the knowledge, and as and when you progress, you will be easily able to proceed further. So that is how it is very important that you should understand Bhagavad Gita. So instead of going through all these Vedas, everything, just sit every day, read one sloka, and then you will be getting it. So it is also very important that you should understand it is unfolding all the mysteries of your life. What is that you are doing here? Why are you here? What is that you are supposed to do? Why am I born here? Why I am alone suffering? Why my neighbor is having a nice time? Why I'm not able to watch this thing? Why I'm doing this? So you are all very fortunate that today, in spite of the the so-called cricket fever, the corona fever, the IPL fever, everything, you had the knowledge, you had the understanding by which you feel okay, I should study or I should be in this class to attend Bhagavad Gita. This itself shows the interest. The first foremost important thing is when you want to understand the mysteries of life, when you have the interest, when you have the knowledge, then it will help you to unfold the mystery. When you start reading Bhagavad Gita, you will be able to assimilate, you will be able to get the relationships. So first and foremost thing people will say, oh, who am I? What is that I'm doing here? Why I am alone here? So when you think about that, immediately what you have to understand is who is God, or who is the Supreme Lord? What is the relationship between myself and that particular person? What is that connectivity? I have my family, I have my father, I have my children, I have my parents, I have my friends, I have my neighbors. So in one way or the other, I have my dog, I have my so many things. So in one way or the other, people try to start relating with others. If there is no relationship between yourself and another person, then there is no point living in the society. Like you can be a friend, you can be a neighbor, you can be a father, you can be a mother. In one way or the other, there is a definite relationship that has been established. So Krishna is in detail talking about who I am. So the first and foremost knowledge from a um, from a from an individual perspective is for you to understand who I am. So Krishna reveals that to you. And second most important thing is who is the Lord. Some supreme force. There is somebody behind me. There is some force acting behind me. So who is it? How do I understand? What should I do? So all those things are revealed in all the specific chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So we have to understand that perspective also. And when we understand that, what is the connectivity? A connectivity between a father and a mother, connectivity between a son and a mother, between the relationship between individuals vary. So then similarly, is there a relationship between myself and the Lord? Yes, there is a definite relationship between Lord. When you understand that He is supreme, He is beyond the this one, you have to start reciprocating. The reciprocation is most important because it cannot come by force. Okay, for example, the love and affection between a mother and a son, a father and a daughter, you cannot force it to bring out the love. So the love and affection, the most important part, it's called the love and affection, which has to be coming out very spontaneously. So that is what the Supreme Lord is expecting from us. Everywhere people will say, oh, you have to do this, otherwise the Lord will punish you. You have to do this, otherwise you will not get it. Which is all in one way trying to force you. Supreme Lord Krishna is talking in Bhagavad Gita, you have to establish that relationship in a very spontaneous way. Then you will get the knowledge. Then you will get the bhakti. Then you will be able to understand who you are really, why are you doing here, what are you supposed to do, and what is the relationship between us, and then that will take you. See, now in this Yuga, there are so many things happening, right? For example, you have in the current society, people will ask why there is a need for Bhagavad Gita. We have in this current corona situation, it's a typical situation where people are sometimes in a very bad state that they're not able to do anything. They're completely in a state of not performing anything. But for some it is a big boon, for some it is a big disaster, for some it is like kind of okay, for some it is where like big jackpot, for some it is like okay, I'm able to reveal something, is there something else I can. So it all depends upon how do you understand the way of your life, how do you understand and put it towards your real goal of life. Being born as a human itself is the biggest blessings that you have got, and being born with some knowledge and with some kind of a qualification and with some kind of a society where you're able to do something, that itself is biggest boon. Like, when you compare between yourself and so many others in the society, you should understand and you should thank the Lord that, oh, this is happening. Now, there are so many conveniences, but do we have time? People say, no, I don't have time at all. People will say, I have a lot of knowledge, I have done my PhD, I have done my this, but are they able to take proper decisions? Are they able to do right activities? No. There might be so many experts. Now people will say, oh, corona is happening, this will definitely be now, but there are no solution. Still we don't have proper solution to corona, right? There are so many fantastic people, but if you understand about their characters, it will be very, very short, right? We have a lot of leisure time, but are we really having fun? We have a lot of varieties today in your life, but are they really taking us to the right path? No. There are so many questions that has been unanswered, and that is where Bhagavad Gita reveals the real knowledge, and that is where we have to understand how do we put forth ourselves. Is it the really way that I am supposed to do, or am I following something else? Okay, people will typically say mentality called as the sheep mentality. Even though they are educated, even though they are sophisticated, even though they are in a high class living, they just follow something else done. So why do we have to study Bhagavad Gita? It is a time proven one where it is just the not just a Itihasa Purana or a literature part where, oh, I am just reading Bhagavata, it's a Hindu mythological one. No, Krishna himself says it's a manual for life. Like when you want to ride your car, or when you want to drive a car, or when you want to operate a particular equipment or a machine, you are given a manual. What is that manual talk about? How to operate upon it, how to open it, how to repair it, how to work it in a smooth way, how to do proper maintenance, etc. Right? So Bhagavad Gita is also the secret, it's also the knowledge, it's also the treasure house of manual. How do you want to see it? For example, somebody is saying, I want to know about how do I do parenting. Does Krishna talk about parenting tips? Yes, Krishna is giving a lot of tips on how to do proper parenting. Does Krishna talk about business? Yes, he's talking about business. Does Krishna talking about personality development? Yes, he's talking about fantastically about personality development. Is he talking about conflict management? Yes, he's talking about conflict management. Is he talking about leadership? Yes, there are so many corporate training levels that happen on the corporate leadership. So how do you want to see Bhagavad Gita, and how do you want to in that way the Bhagavad Gita is getting revealed to you? So to see Bhagavad Gita in that perspective, but essential part to take it, most important thing, rather than say, no, let me now finish all my household activity. Then Krishna himself says through Sharas, when you go, it will just go off where you understand Bhagavad Gita. It's speaking sometimes. Okay, maybe I will slow down, then I think you should be able to get it. So what does it offer to you? It offers everything. What you want, like, people will say, I want to have a peace, shanti. I want to have mind control. I want to have something called as building relationships. How to do it? Is there a stress management one? Today being Gandhi Jayanti, people all will know, the secret behind Mahatma Gandhi is Bhagavad Gita. So every time, whenever he had a problem, he will just open one page of Bhagavad Gita and read to the sloka, and then he will become peaceful. How does it happen? It doesn't happen just like that. No, it is not like, you just have a headache, you put one saridon or some tablet and immediately, no. It is by practice. It is by your abhyasam. It cannot happen just like that within one day, but it will definitely happen. It will definitely give a change in your life. It will definitely see a better way you see your life. It will give you a different perspective after going through understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Where do you want to balance the life? How to live? Is there a discipline? Is there identifying yourself in terms of yoga? All those things are there. But most important thing what Bhagavad Gita offers you is something called as your goal of life, which is very important. Everybody everywhere, people are running behind for something, right? Somebody wants to study, somebody wants to earn money, somebody wants to get a house, somebody wants to build a career, somebody wants to buy a car. So everywhere people are running behind something for a particular goal. So Bhagavad Gita, does it offer a solution? In one way, yes, Bhagavad Gita offers a solution. But beyond that, there is a ultimate solution, ultimate goal, which is what very essential. Why are you born as a human being? Those questions are all answered in Bhagavad Gita. We all know this. Bhagavad Gita was spoken, as most of you know, it was not spoken in a very normal corporate level, no, very, you know, very which is very biggest war the world has seen. We might say World War One, World War Two, World War Three. No, it was one of the biggest war where millions and millions of people gathered in near Delhi, near Kurukshetra, and so much of here. One side we had a lot of army from Kauravas, we had the army from Pandavas. In between this, Krishna is delivering the essence delivery is giving the knowledge, the complete knowledge about human mankind, the complete knowledge about what to do, what not to do. So imagine the situation. It is not about just giving a lecture over sitting somewhere in a very nice place. No, Bhagavad Gita is arisen out of a most problematic area, most dangerous situation. So you should understand how it was brought up. So some of the questions in Bhagavad Gita people may ask, what is the fault of Krishna or Karna? Why Abhimanyu was killed? Why Pandavas were vanquished? Is it 18 days worth war? Everybody were killed. Out of this 18 days of war in Kurukshetra, none were there except the Pancha Pandavas. That's all. All the Kauravas, everybody were killed. So why is it? So all those questions are getting action. But most important thing we have to understand, there is a definite plan, there is a definite set of actions determined, and somebody is there to perform an action based on a plan. We just have to go and see what is that happening. That's all. We might say today, oh, this is because of this. We might have a lot of concoctions. We might have a lot of arguments. Oh, this is because of this. This is because of this. So whatever be it, at the end of the day, what is that? The people are able to get because of the Kurukshetra. People might say, oh, this has happened, but we have got the best. We have got the blessings. We have got everything that what we are supposed to understand, read, and also take it up very seriously in our life. What is that? That is Bhagavad Gita. So, in one sense, certain situations out of first bad situations, bad making, you might decide or you might get some very good knowledge. One typical story you all know about this Arjuna and Duryodhana, where when they want to meet Krishna and get his blessings and his army, Duryodhana was thinking very brilliant. He was thinking very smart. Oh, I am there. Let me go first. So when Krishna was sleeping, he just went there and he stood in at the head side of Krishna, and Arjuna was there at the foot side of Krishna very patiently. Okay, but what happened? You all know the story. So Krishna, even though woke up and saw Arjuna, Duryodhana was saying, no, I came first, but Krishna gave the priority to Arjuna. But more brilliantly, Duryodhana was thinking, oh no, Arjuna shouldn't ask anything. Arjuna shouldn't ask the army. But what did Arjuna ask? Arjuna asked only, Arjuna, I want your presence only with us. I don't want your army. Immediately Duryodhana thought, oh, this guy is a fool. He didn't understand. I have the biggest army. So I'm going to ask the Yadava Sena. I'm going to get the entire army. But who became the biggest fool? Duryodhana. Why? When somebody understands what is priority, what is the essence, what is more in terms of your life, what is more important, then you might get the knowledge, then you might understand which is more important. So at certain decision making levels, when you go and apply your intelligence, emotional quotient, emotional levels will go off, and you might get the best of the best decisions, right? So it is very important. Krishna is talking about all those decision making points, how to be very submissive, how to be very collaborative, how to be taking more in terms of better understanding and decision making. So we have to understand the position of Duryodhana versus Arjuna. When you want to learn Bhagavad Gita, we have to be in the position of Arjuna. What is the position of Arjuna? At one point of time, people will say, oh, Arjuna was a very good friend of Krishna. Yes, Arjuna was a very good friend of Krishna, and his very close in the sense they will play together, they will eat together, sometimes they will sleep sleep on the same big bed, everything very, very close. They went to hunting, all those things together. But most importantly, in the Kurukshetra war, when the entire war started, Arjuna's mind was in such a kind of a lamenting state. Like when he saw his own when fathers, his grandfather, his own relatives, his own uncles, what had happened? He became very compassionate. The entire Bhagavad Gita starts with the first chapter where it is all about Arjuna being very, very remorse. Like, he became very, he said, no, I will not fight. Initially, he had that vigor of being a Kshatriya. He said, okay, let me fight. But Arjuna knew what is the actual condition of Arjuna. So he brought the chariot exactly in front of Dronacharya, exactly in front of Bhishma. Just by seeing Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya and all others, the compassionate nature of Arjuna was brought out. So it is very important that when you learn Bhagavad Gita, you have to start developing the qualities of Arjuna, which means you have to develop the qualities of being a student, develop the qualities of being a disciple. Then you will understand Bhagavad Gita, very understand. You will say, no, let the teacher say anything. I have my own way of understanding. Means it is very tough for you to understand Bhagavad Gita. Krishna was talking to Arjuna because Arjuna was qualified, because Arjuna was compassionate, because Arjuna was kind-hearted, because Arjuna was eager to learn. So very important, when you start learning Bhagavad Gita, you have to develop the faith and eagerness. Initially, people say, I like, no, I'm very interested. But after some time, that eagerness and the factor will come down. But the more and more you're eager, the more and more the knowledge you will get. Oh, is it so? Oh, is it so? Like that. And you have to ask intelligently also, because Arjuna was in a very level where he started questioning Krishna, and it is all about a discussion between Arjuna and Krishna. Throughout the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, it is all about what are the questions put forth by Arjuna and how does Krishna answer to it. And foremost important thing, last but not the least, is being very submissive. A student has to be submissive in front of the teacher for you to understand Bhagavad Gita. Because Arjuna was so submissive, and initially he was thinking, oh, Krishna is my another friend, let me, he's taking. But the moment he was completely perplexed, the moment he thought he's not able to do anything, then he surrendered to Krishna. Krishna, I don't know. See, really, please help me. What should I do? Then Krishna starts answering. You have to do your duty. From that point, the entire Bhagavad Gita is being. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, whatever I am told, you have to decide based on that. So I have done my duty. What is that you want to do? Then Arjuna says, whatever you say I will do, because you are the Supreme Lord, because I understand that the knowledge that you have given to me, because I'm able to see the presence of your place here, I will definitely do whatever you say. And then Krishna says, okay, you have to fight. Then Arjuna says, yes, I will fight. That's all. So when you are submissive to the Acharya, when you are submissive to the Guru, when you are submissive to the knowledge being given, then you will get the real knowledge. The same applies to your material life also. When you are studying, if you don't go and argue, if you keep on arguing with the teacher, at some point of the time, you will never get the knowledge. So that is why you have to develop the characters of a disciple, characters of a student, then you will be able to easily understand Bhagavad Gita. So it is not a very tough thing, but most important thing, it is a manual, it is a scientific understanding. It is not about mundane philosophy or something like which kind of put it in a mystical way. No, every sloka, every word in Sanskrit, everything is all about practically putting into your life, practically demonstrating how do you put it into your day-to-day life, and also start applying to it. So that is how we have to say. People will say, oh, I have mugged up Bhagavad Gita, I know this yoga, I know. Yes, knowing is one thing. How are we practically putting it to our life and then making it useful determines your life, determines your happiness. It is all about individual getting the knowledge, individual conveying the knowledge to others, and as well as applying that knowledge. That's all. When you are being very kind-hearted, when you are being very compassionate, Arjuna became very compassionate. He said, oh, I am not able to fight. I don't know what I will do. Is it the right thing I'm doing? What should I do? So these kind of questions Arjuna starts putting. And then Krishna starts answering to them. Every chapter, in one end, Krishna will end in a summary way. And then Arjuna will start. Oh, if this is so, then should I really do this way or the other way? Then starts, Krishna gives the the ways and means of life. For example, the entire Bhagavad Gita, people will say, oh, it is about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Yes, the Lord gives you the roots, the ways, the means by which you understand, by which you attain the Supreme. How are you going to take it up is up to you, Krishna will say. So he gives you the options, but he will also give you the best option. So ultimately, people will say, oh, okay, let me try this also, let me try that also. Then Krishna will say, okay, it is up to you. But as I told you, which is the best option, instead of going through the different routes, when you straight away take up the best route that I'm recommending, then your life becomes sublime, your life becomes easy, your life becomes much more easier. When your life becomes much more easier, you will be able to realize yourself very quickly. You will be able to realize why are you suffering here, why are you enjoying here, what is that you're supposed to do, and how do you attain the supreme knowledge, how do you attain the supreme bliss, how do you get the supreme happiness, like that. So it depends upon how do we take it up. How to learn Bhagavad Gita is all about these 5 principal elements that is being spoken in Bhagavad Gita. The entire Bhagavad Gita, crux of Bhagavad Gita, is all about 5 principal elements. It is called as Ishvara, Jivatma, Karma, Kala, and Prakriti. So throughout Bhagavad Gita, the 5 principal elements that keeps revolving around is about the 5 truths, which we will also get to know in the coming chapters. But foremost is called as Ishvara, Kala, Karma, Prakriti, and Jiva. What is Ishvara, or who is Ishvara? People will just say Ishvara means Parameshwara, Maheshwara, like that, right? But Ishvara is something in the Sanskrit word is called as controller, or somebody who is controlling it. It is all about the Supreme Lord. It is all about the Bhagavan. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, it is not like saying Krishna Uvacha. No, it is Bhagavan Uvacha, which means what? Who is the Supreme Lord? It is Krishna. So he is revealing everything. Certain specific chapters, for example, when we talk about 10th chapter, 11th chapter, 12th chapter, it is all about the Lord. It is all about what he has done. He is behind everything. What is it about the creation? What is it about how this entire manifestation is happening? This entire Prakriti, this entire universe is happening. All is spoken about Ishvara. The second most important thing is Jiva. As I told you, Arjuna, being submissive, he was asking, how do I understand myself? Yeah, this is about Ishvara. We have already seen he is the supreme controller. It's called an absolute personality. We have Ishvara in terms of three different understanding. One is called the Bhagavan realization, then the Paramatma realization, and the Brahman realization. When we say Bhagavan realization, it is a supreme Lord. Paramatma is somebody who's what? He's sitting inside you. We are all Jivatmas in one sense, and within this body there is a Jivatma and also a Paramatma. So every living entity, including a coronavirus, within the for a coronavirus, there is a body, there is a Jivatma, and there is also a Paramatma. Okay. So what does that Ishvara do? He does the creation, he does the maintenance, he does the destruction, everything. Whatever you want to name it, he's doing it. So Krishna is talking about something called a science of God. The entire Bhagavad Gita is all about science of God. Who is he? What does he do? Why does he descend? People say avataram, avatar. What are the actions that he do? How do we understand them? All these questions are being answered in Bhagavad Gita. There are some specific chapters, like 11th chapter, where the Supreme Lord reveals himself as the Vishwarupam, the biggest revelation, biggest station of Vishwarupam to Arjuna. So all those things are part of science called as the science of Bhagavan, or the science of God. So as and when you understand Ishvara, we will be able to easily get to know the next important thing, what is meant by Jivatma or the Jiva. say Jivatma, Atma, soul. So that's there in the second chapter. I think you are able to hear me now. There was a connection. So Jivatma is all about science of soul. It's what, who am I? What am I doing here? What am I supposed to really do? What is my real goal of life? What is my constitutional position? Why am I born here? The detail Gita is talking about in the second chapter. It is very important that we should understand that. We are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are all part of the Isha. We are all permanent. It is like dead means no. We are all permanent. We have full of knowledge, and we have been understanding about why I'm suffering. What is the difference between suffering and happiness? All those things are revealed in specifically Bhagavad Gita. People will say, what is the difference between human life and animal life? The third important point is the Prakriti or this material nature. How do we understand this material nature? Which is very important, because the entire Bhagavad Gita is talking about happening everything in this material world. So science of creation, how it is being created, who's maintaining it, what are the three different gunas, something called as Sattva guna, Rajo guna, and Tamo guna. It is all talking about that. And the five gross elements, like people will say in general about the Panchabhutas, right? So it is all about that. Understand the goal of life, understand about where it is happening. This is the third one. And what is the fourth one? Karma. People will always, oh, this is all because of my karma, because of the action that is happening. So what is meant by karma in a normal understanding, a typical definition? Simple word is science of action. What is the loss of karma? Can I escape it? What am I supposed to do? How do I do it? What else I'm supposed to do? Am I doing it right? So in detail, it is mentioned in the third chapter, fourth chapter, and fifth chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So there's something called as karma, akarma, vikarma, and people will say prarabdha karma, sanchita karma, etc. Right? So you start reading Bhagavad Gita, you will let to know what is the exact difference between akarma. All that you're doing in one way, it is all karma. So your action based on the knowledge that you gain, based upon your knowledge and based upon your thinking, feeling, and willing, your actions are defined. So in one sense, yeah, based on the jnana, it is only yes. In one sense, jnanam or the knowledge is also very important, but at the same time, your actions, your thinking, your speech also matters a very lot. It's about everything put together. And the last important point is kala or the time, which is very important, because given a particular period, given a particular state, in that period, what is it happening? So how do you understand it? As a jivatma in this prakriti, for a given kalam or a kala or a given period, you are performing an action. What is your goal of life? Why do you study Bhagavad Gita? Is to reach, is to understand the Supreme Lord, is to understand the Ishvara. And if you understand that, then everything else is revealed. Everything else is much more transcendental. Everything else becomes very, very easy for you to understand. So this is the entire crux of Bhagavad Gita in terms of the five principal elements. So all through the 18 chapters, it is about this Jivatma, Paramatma, Bhagavan, about this Prakriti, what is the creation, what is the manifestation, everything, and the period, what is the types of karma, like types of karma in terms of the process. So in one sense, people will say it is about all about karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, bhakti yoga. So there are different paths. As I mentioned earlier, you might just say, oh, can I do just karma alone? No. To have a karma, you need to have knowledge. When you want to have knowledge, you are supposed to follow a particular discipline, you follow a particular way, particular path of life. And then when you don't understand, when you don't have the path or mood of surrender, or when you don't get that particular mood of humility, humbleness, then everything else will collapse. So which is the highest one among this, called the bhakti yoga. People will just say, oh yes, it is very hard, very tough to follow. No, when you start reading Bhagavad Gita, you will understand which is the topmost one and which is the easiest one. Just by performing bhakti, just by performing the bhakti yoga, you will get knowledge, you will be disciplined, you will be performing your yoga, karma yoga in a very, very perfect way, which will encompass everything, and which is the most easiest one for you to gain also. So for the next 4 days, what we are going to do is typically try to understand some specific knowledge from this particular sections. Today, whatever we have seen is all about the 5 principles, elements of truth, and in terms of how do we understand Bhagavad Gita as a manual, how do we understand Bhagavad Gita by reading Bhagavad Gita sincerely, what is the position of Arjuna, what is the status of his particular state of mind in the Kurukshetra war, then we will be easily able to get Bhagavad Gita into our own part and parcel of our life. Okay. Okay. Here we have 5 to 10 more minutes. I'll take up questions now. So what I'll do is just give you a quick summary of what we have learned today in terms of Bhagavad Gita, the first session. The first session, what we have seen is the 5 principal elements of truth, namely the Ishvara, Jivatma, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. The state in which Arjuna was perplexed, Arjuna's nature, and what is the qualification to learn Bhagavad Gita. How do we understand Bhagavad Gita? How do we put forth our current state of mind to understand Bhagavad Gita? So I will stop here, and then tomorrow we will go in detail some of the specific chapters within Bhagavad Gita for next 3 days, and try to get the essence, get the char, or get the most important crux of Bhagavad Gita, so that by next 4 days, today being Gandhi Jayanti on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So within 4 days, you will be in a state of mind that yes, I've got this. At least you will be able to say, yes, I know this. And at least you will be able to say, yes, I'm happy that I'm able to do this. So in whatever be it, we are trying to give this Bhagavad Gita to you so that we can take it up in a recovered way. Okay. So if you have any questions, what I'll do is, you can just raise your hand, then I will just unmute you, and then you can post your questions. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and then post your questions. or if you want to share something, please go ahead and then we can do. Yeah, Ashish Gupta, you can unmute and then you can.
Yeah, my question is like, is there any difference between Paramatma and Jivatma?
Yes, there is a very big difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. Paramatma is one person. Jivatma, there are multiple millions and millions of Jivatmas. But one Paramatma is expanded into multiple Paramatmas and residing within the heart next to the Jivatma with all the living entities. For example, when you say one particular person, means that within that person's body you have a Jivatma and you have a Paramatma. That is the first understanding. Okay. The second understanding between a Jivatma and Paramatma is within that particular, for example, you are Ashish Gupta.
Yeah.
You know about yourself only, right? As a Jivatma, you know to some extent about yourself, maybe to your family and your thinking and whatever be it. But
Okay.
the Paramatma is a person who knows, being in heart in everybody, he knows everybody else what is happening, what is going to happen, and what is to be done. So we know only about ourselves. The Paramatma knows about everybody.
So in every individual, you mean to say that there would be Paramatma and Jivatma.
Correct.
Paramatma being only one, but Jivatma being in every, means the whole, the each and every individual.
Yeah. For example, I will put it this way: individual different entities are Jivatmas,
Yeah.
but the same Paramatma is expanded. The same Paramatma is expanded in all along with all the Jiva entities. Okay.
Okay.
For
Okay. Fine.
example, yeah,
Yeah. You were giving an example, please.
yeah. For example, you have you are yourself in a particular level, and the the prime minister's office or something, they say government. Okay, the same government is established at different locations, which means there is one supreme government sitting in Delhi, but the same government is operating in different locations, different places, different buildings, but we all say it is the expanded or the expansion of the same government office across so many locations. Some point of the time we all say it is government one, right?
Right. Right.
Even though it is the same.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you. Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
Hello. And is there a difference between Brahman and Paramatma, or are they the same?
Yes, yeah, there is a, it is both same as well as different. For example, Paramatma is one realization of the Supreme Lord, then there is another realization of the Brahman, and then there is a Supreme Bhagavan as it is. Like, for example, there is a quick example is you have a sun. Okay, there is a sun planet there, but how do you realize sun? When you are sitting in the morning, just by waking up, when there is light, you are not even seeing the sun. Just by the light, you assume or you know that there is already sun coming out, right? So that is the effulgence or the Brahman realization. But there is a supreme, there is sun as an entity separate one, right? So like that, there is the Paramatma, then there is the Brahman, and then there is the Bhagavan separately.
Okay, so Bhagavan is also separate from Paramatma.
Correct, correct. It is all from the main Bhagavan. From the main Bhagavan, Paramatma is all versioned. Like when you say this version, next version, the same Bhagavans is all sitting in as Paramatma. The same Bhagavan is all pervasive as the Brahman.
Okay, could you give some more example, please, to make it so that there's more clarification? Sorry, I'm taking a time from your end, but if you give some more example. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'll give you the same example of sun itself, or this government example. For example, the sun. When you see the sun, you don't even see the sun rays. Just by the light, you are able to see that sun has come. Which means what? That is the realization of the Paramatma. When you go out, you see the sun rays coming out. You don't even see the sun. Just seeing the rays, which means what? It is all pervasive. It is all across wherever the sun comes. Immediately it is there. It is not it is not partial. Okay, sun will say no, I don't come to this position, this place. No, when the sun rises, it is there across the entire manifestation, entire planet, right? Which means that is the effulgence, or that is the Brahman part. The Brahman is everywhere. Sarva Brahman. It means everywhere it is there. But the sun, as such, when you go and stand in front of the east side, you can see the sun as a planet, as a particular entity. So which means the sun is also there. Another example we can give is the same government example. There are, when you say government, it is not just an individual person or an entity, but there are so many people together, put together as a representative of the government. So there are at different levels, different positions, everything is there. But the main person who is sanctioning it is called the prime minister or the president. So when he sanctions it, then it becomes the government authority or government signature. Then it means everybody has to accept it. That's all. But somebody sitting there and signing the signature makes the entire thing operational, makes the entire uh, activities operational, sitting somewhere else. So there is a person sitting there. At the same time, his entities, his actions are being driven through at different departments, different levels, different positions, different layers. Everything is happening, but everything is called as government activity, government job, government action, government this thing. So going forward, I will give you some more examples in the coming days, so that it will give you more idea. And specifically, Krishna is talking about in specific slokas, how do you understand this Brahman realization, about this Paramatma realization, about the Bhagavan realization, about the first one is called Atma realization, the self, Atma Sakshakaram. So there are four levels of realization which you will get to know in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So do we have any other questions? Okay. Ashish, you have further more questions, or we'll stop here? Okay, I think we will stop here. So thank you all for participating. So just to keep the momentum going, we will continue the same session tomorrow 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the next 3 days, and then hope to get for you some kind of a benefit by Monday, that okay, this is Bhagavad Gita, this is what I've learned, and this is what I will take it up further. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.